Everything I've learned this year goes back to my mother. Since her death in January 2013, I've been finding ways to cope by finding my way in my body through movement.
I spent the 9 months of her illness finding solace in her presence, sometimes barely able to hug her because of her pain and hospital equipment and her descent into a fragile shell.
I never wanted to leave her, and she had to push me, usually an obsessive athlete, to run and to do yoga, to leave her hospital room for anything.
I did high-intensity interval training and yoga in her hospital room while we watched TV or while she napped. I lived for days in the ICU in my yoga pants. 3 months after she died, I rediscovered kickboxing, the kind of moving meditation that I never knew I always wanted. It's so much and so obviously about motive force, but it's also about trust, which is both active and passive, as I wrote earlier this semester. There's more quiet in it than its intensity often allows to be seen. Teaching yoga allows me to filter my teachings through my own body when I demonstrate poses, and to feel it in other people's bodies when I adjust them. I teach weekly classes in a small Pilates and yoga studio in Park Slope, Brooklyn. I'm getting to know my students' injuries and challenges, both physical and emotional, sometimes. I sit on a train on the way to visit my aunt, who lost her sister and her husband within 3 months of each other. We are a smaller, sadder family without my mother and my uncle. Looking for something to do, I try a version of one of the opening questions in Sandra Pearl's Guidelines for Composing. What do I know about? The question goes. And I add to myself, what do I know other than grief? Today I decide I will think about knowing about. I cast around for something outside the window. Trees. No, reflections. There's a beautiful image outside the rushing train of the sunset above the lake and the evening blackened trees reflecting onto the water. What can I write about reflections? My first thought is that they express recursivity. You can look at them from two distinct angles, but it's almost as though there's no beginning or end. You could have the trees without the reflection, but you couldn't have the reflection without the trees. I look again, and I notice how fuzzy the trees' outlines are in the water.
This is Jenlin's edge, the edge of felt sense, the space where creativity happens, that line between the shadows and the trees, between what you're sure of and what you don't know might appear. Anything can happen there.
In some ways, when my mom died, I thought I'd reached the edge of my strength. I didn't know how much I'd need to keep going, and to keep going in a healthy way. Now I write, I research, I teach, I learn. Sometimes now, 15 months after her death, I still don't know what to do, but I keep going anyway. Like a train, like a lake, like a fresh thought, like love.